arrival of the honorable ministers and panelists to this meeting.
Today in this town hall meeting to speak on the achievements of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning and the federal government of Nigeria, specifically in the area of infrastructure development. Firstly, I wish to commend my colleague, Hajiya Zainab Ahmed, Minister of Information, for organizing and hosting this town hall meeting. It is indeed a very important opportunity to sensitize impacted communities and key stakeholders and indeed the public on the nation and the nation at large on the infrastructure projects and programs that have been undertaken by this administration to create an enabling environment for socio-economic development. Nigeria's economy and population remains the largest in Africa with over $450 billion in GDP and approximately about 200 million population. Our country's huge and growing population offer both an economic challenge as well as an opportunity in the light of constrained revenues and also resources brought about by several multidimensional factors, including the global pandemic and the impact and its impact on our domestic economy. Against this backdrop of challenges, this administration has successfully implemented a range of infrastructure programs that have had a positive impact on the lives and the livelihoods of the citizens. During my presentation, I will highlight some of these programs that are initiated by Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, as well as initiatives that the ministry is helping to facilitate in other ministries. Before I proceed with these initiatives, I'd like to talk a little bit about the GDP full year 2021 report. So Nigeria's gross domestic product grew by 3.98% in the fourth quarter of 2021, showing a sustained positive growth for the fifth consecutive quarter since the recession that we witnessed in 2020, when output contracted for 2 quarters and we went into recession. That recession was caused by the COVID-19 pandemic as well as a crash in the price of international crude. The fourth quarter growth indicates a steady economic recovery, accounting for an annual growth rate for the full year of 3.4% in the year 2021. The Q4 2021 growth rates are higher than the corresponding period in 2020. And also, nevertheless, quarter-on-quarter, real GDP growth grew at 9.63% in the fourth quarter of 2021 compared to the previous quarter. The construction sector in particular grew by 34.53% in nominal terms, while in the fourth quarter we witnessed some slight dip from what was recorded in the corresponding quarter in the previous year. I must say that for the whole of the year 2021, the growth rate recorded by the construction sector is 42.5%. And this is higher than the growth rate in the preceding year. Construction altogether contributes 9.99% to our nominal GDP. And the annual contribution of the sector stood at, so that was 9.99% in the fourth quarter, but for the year 2021, 9.56%. This is just to show you that our economy is growing and that the infrastructure sector is one of the main drivers of growth in our economy. And also, before I proceed to present some of the initiatives that we have, I would like to use this forum to reiterate that good quality infrastructure is important, not only to ensure accelerated and economic growth, but also to ensure enhanced inclusive growth for all within the national space. Subsequently, this administration continues to prioritize spending on infrastructure as well as on human capital to catalyze rapid economic development. In 2022 alone, we plan to spend 1.42 trillion on infrastructure and 2.11 trillion on human capital development. So permit me, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to report to you on a few of the projects that are related to infrastructure that have either been driven by the ministry or enabled by the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The first is the Road Infrastructure Development Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme. We call it the RITCS for short. So this initiative was launched in 2019 to leverage private sector capital and expertise to construct, repair, and maintain critical road infrastructure in key economic corridors as well as industrial clusters in the country. The RITC scheme is designed to complement and relieve the burden of funding significant capital outlays on road projects by the federal government. As a model, the RITC adopts the use of tax expenditures via the use of tax credits to finance the construction of critical road and bridge infrastructure projects while utilizing an innovative PPP mechanism that is aimed at incentivizing the private sector participation in our capital investments. The scheme commenced in 2019 with His Excellency the President approving 19 roads covering 769.16 kilometers located in 11 states across the 6 geopolitical zones. Subsequently, construction commenced with the construction of the Apapa-Oshodi-Ojota Road in Lagos, and also the reconstruction of the Obajana-Kaba Road in Kogi State. Both investments were undertaken by the Dangote Industries Limited, while the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas NLNG Limited undertook the construction of the Boni-Bodo Road and the bridge across the Opobo Channel in Rivers State. Since the inception of the scheme, Mr. President has approved an additional 14 roads, bringing the total roads to 33 roads across the country, now covering 19 states and across the 6 geopolitical zones. And since the commencement of the scheme, over the last 3 years, 2019 to 2021, we have been able to issue tax credits in the sum of 78 billion naira to the investors that have started construction. The NNPC also is financing the construction of 21 additional roads across the country under the same scheme. Next initiatives that I want to report on is the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority Infrastructure Development Projects Fund. The NIF is one of the 3 ring-fence funds established under the NSIA. The role of the NIF is catalyzing the growth of key sectors, supporting projects of national importance, and attracting foreign direct investments in the infrastructure sector. Some of the projects that the NIF is covering includes the agricultural sector, the health sector, power sector, as well as gas and a few others. Consequently, over a period of 7 years, from 2015 to 2021, the NIF has invested and completed 13 projects across 7 key sectors, including healthcare, education, agriculture, financial services, as well as housing. Some of these completed projects comprise the UFF NIAC Agricultural Fund, established with Old Mutual. This is a global investment insurance fund to invest in processing opportunities with backward integration for primary agriculture. The Fund for Agricultural Financing, PAFIN, is another one. It's an agricultural project that is focused on private equity fund for agriculture to support MSMEs across the country. Another project is an infrastructure project, the APAM Power 3 Power Project. This is a 10.4 billion naira investment in the procurement and local assembly of solar home systems as part of the Federal Government of Nigeria's strategy for the electrification of 50 million households. In the health sector, the fund has completed 3 infrastructure projects worth $22.5 million, and this includes the NSIA Lagos University Teaching Hospital Oncology Center, the Cancer Center at Luth, which has provided services to date to 4,000 patients since its commissioning. The other centers are the NSI FMCU and the NSI Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital Diagnostic Centers, two ultra-modern facilities located in Abia and Kano states. Furthermore, both diagnostic centers have provided services to over 47,000 clients to date. Through the Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company, NMRC, and the Family Homes Fund, the ministry has completed housing infrastructure development in the country with the implementation of mortgage-based affordable housing scheme. Between the years 2019 to 2021, the scheme has recorded a total of 13,542 houses. Furthermore, through the NIF, the same fund, there are ongoing projects such as the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, the PIDF, which is worth $300 million of investment by the NSI itself, as well as funding provided by government through budgets. This PIDF is established to attract capital and accelerate the completion of infrastructure projects, which include the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the second Niger Bridge, as well as the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Road. Some of the projects are approaching completion, like the LIE is at 79% completion, while the second Niger Bridge is at 83% completion, and the AKR, the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Road, is at 27% completion. I must pause here to say that Mr. President has directed that the AKR must be completed and commissioned in early 2023. We also have infrastructure that is funded by multilateral and bilateral loans across the country. The Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning contracts external loans on behalf of the Federation and the federal government from bilateral and multilateral development partners to finance critical infrastructure. It is important to note that these loans are contracted within the framework of the 2020 to 2023 medium-term debt management strategy. The medium-term debt management strategy provides a guide to borrowing activities of government within a medium-term period. The MTDS, that's the strategy, has been prepared by the Debt Management Office in collaboration with relevant stakeholders such as the Ministry, but also the Central Bank of Nigeria, Budget Office of the Federation, as well as the National Bureau of Statistics and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Under this medium-term debt management strategy, the plan has a commitment of a maximum of 40% debt to GDP. We are currently at about 37%. We also have portfolio composition mix of domestic to external borrowing of 60 to 30%, as well as long-term to short-term borrowing in the ratio of 75 to 25%. Some of the key infrastructures that have been funded by external loans include, first of all, the first category, the China Exim Bank. So China Exim Bank has ongoing projects that are under different levels of construction. So we have the Zungeru Hydropower Plant project, which was a loan of $984 million, the Lagos-Ibadan Railway project at $1.26 billion, the upgrading and rehabilitation of the Kefi Akwanga Lafia Road project at $460 million, the supply of rolling stock and depot equipment for the Abuja Light Rail project phase 1, $164 million, the MICTID project, this is an infrastructure, ICT infrastructure backbone, the Galaxy backbone, in the sum of $328 million. We have also the 4 airport terminal expansion projects, phase 2, in the sum of $208.91 million, ancillary works for the same 4 airports, in the sum of $183.62 million. These are all ongoing projects, and some of them, like the airports, have been completed. The projects that are awaiting conclusion right now, some important ones, are the Kano Urban Light Rail project, which is a loan that will be taken by the Kano State government but facilitated by the federal government, the sum of $673 million. Construction of the Lafia bypass and the dualization of the 9th mile Enugu-Otukpo-Makurdi road projects in the sum of $845 million. We also have the e-border solution led by the Nigerian Immigration Service in the sum of $175.5 million. The World Bank has also given us some financing for infrastructure, and this includes Nigeria Electrification Project Off-Grid, 350 million, North Core Interconnection Power Transition Line Project. This is a regional project under the West African Power Pool in the sum of $32.3 million. The Nigeria Electrification Transmission and Access Project in the sum of $486 million. The African Development Bank has also given us some financing. And some of the projects include the Nigeria Electrification Project. So this is co-funded between the World Bank and the African Development Bank. The AFDB portion is $200 million. And then the Nigerian Transmission and Expansion Project, again co-funded between the World Bank and the AFDB in the sum of $210 million. The French Development Agency has also provided financing for some infrastructure projects. Abuja Power Feeding Transmission Scheme, $170 million. The Northern Corridor Transmission Line, this is co-funded between the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and AFD in the sum of $245 million. Financing of road infrastructure has also been done through the sovereign sukuk bonds. This has proven to be a very popular form of financing in the sense that it provides visibility to projects that are funded across the country. Since the debut of the first 100 billion sovereign sukuk in September 2017, the Debt Management Office has issued 3 more tranches of sukuk. Each tranche is better than the last one, bringing the total so far to 612.56 billion naira. Since the emergence of the sukuk as a financing window for infrastructure in 2017, a total of 362.56 billion has been provided to the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to fund key road projects. The first sukuk of 100 billion was deployed to 25 roads and it delivered 482 kilometers. The second covered 28 roads and the third one covering 44 roads. The proceeds of the latest sukuk in the sum of 250 billion naira, which is the 4th series, with a 10-year tenure, will be used to finance rehabilitation and reconstruction of roads across the 6 geopolitical zones and the FCT. The 250 billion sukuk was opened on the 16th of December 2021 and closed on the 23rd of December 2021. I must say that this particular issue was oversubscribed at the rate of 346%. That's why I said there's a lot of interest in the sukuk. The Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, the FCT, and the Niger Delta ministries will are beneficiaries of this 250 billion naira sukuk, with the Works Ministry having 210 billion and FCT having 29 billion and Niger Delta having 10.4 billion. Roads, so there are several roads funded under the sukuk, like I mentioned earlier on, and also just some bit of information on power sector initiatives. We have the Ajakuta Kaduna Kano natural gas pipeline, which Mr. President launched in July 2021, a 614 kilometer gas pipeline to enhance the country's energy security. The government provided sovereign guarantee to this project. So even though it's funded by the NNPC and its partners, the guarantee was issued on behalf of the government by the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. And the focus is to drive industrialization across the country. The Presidential Power Initiative, the PPI, has also been initiated and will provide 40 million people with more reliable electricity supply. We are envisaging it will create up to about 18,000 direct and indirect jobs for Nigerians. There will also be power system engineers, electricians, and contractors that will in turn provide also additional employments and the improved standard of living that we hope to realize by providing homes and businesses with constant, reliable, and affordable power. This project is underway. Software has been provided. We've started training for training of Nigerians on network design, and it's ongoing. 10 mobile substations have been ordered and they're under construction. to bridge the current inadequacies and also to enable mobilization of power where construction is going on to prevent downtimes. And AFC has been engaged as transaction advisors for this project. At the commencement of this administration, we inherited 200 billion naira as a liability that had been paid for stranded power to service existing obligations. And we thought this was not sustainable. So contract terms that were signed in power purchase agreements were changed subsequently under a board of MBET from take or pay to take and pay. Also, discos were made to use banks for bill collections. Prior to this, TCN was getting only up to 50% of its proceeds. Now, TCN is financially whole. The Budget Office of the Federation, finally, is also an active enabler in the economic development in the country. With the full development of the budget preparation subsystem on our government integrated financial management system, providing nationwide training for staff on the use of the GIFNIS application, and also enhancing transparency in the budget process. We have been able to return, with the support of the National Assembly, the budget cycle to a predictable January to December cycle. And also we have been able to include from 0 government-owned enterprises into the annual budget, starting from 10. The following year we did 43, and then in 2022 we have 60 government-owned enterprises in the national budget. This was not done before. We also have now full disclosure of multilateral and bilateral tied loans in the Appropriation Act for greater accountability, transparency, as well as enablement of monitoring by legislature and also CSOs. We've also introduced a modification of the Appropriation Act to reflect all revenues, every category of revenue that is generated by all ministries, departments, and agencies. We've been able to align the MDA's budget spending to reflect government's priorities as defined in the National Development Plan. We also have implemented the Pension Reform Act of 2014 as amended, now bringing government contribution from 7.5% to 10% on behalf of the employees, while the employees' contribution is moved from 7.5% to 8%. Significant increase has also been recorded in funding provisions to the infrastructure sectors in our country. And I will just give example of a few. The Federal Ministry of Transport, when the President came in 2015, had a budget of capital budget of 8.3 billion naira. This will be able to move to 162.99 billion naira in 2022. The Federal Ministry of Works, Water Resources had a budget in 2015 of 15.77 billion naira. This will be able to move gradually, and as of 2022, the Water Resources Ministry has a budget of 172.46 billion naira. The Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, as at the budget for 2015, had a budget of capital budget of 19.82 billion naira. This we have been able to move first to 399.69 billion in 2021, then now in 2022 to 531.65 billion. This is a 1,917% increase. The Federal Ministry of Power, on the other hand, had a budget of 5.1 billion in 2015. This budget has improved at 2022 to 299.968 billion naira. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, significant progress has been made in ensuring implementation of appropriation acts, particularly the capital budget. So as at November 2021, the capital expenditure side of the budget, the total expenditure of the budget was 12.56 trillion. This is against a budget of 13.57 trillion. This is a 94.1% budget performance. This has not happened before in our country. This performance is inclusive of expenditures of government-owned enterprises, but we have not included in this number spending by project from the project titles. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your kind attention. It's an honor to be here.